Yes. This account has the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers away both weeks 1 and 3. That's got to be baseball, doesn't it? Are we assuming there that those cities' baseball teams are home those weeks and therefore they would not play at home? Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, weeks 1 or 3?
That would make sense.
Which limits the possibility of division matchups in those 2 weeks because they can't both be home.
Right. But it does avail both the Bengals and the Ravens of coming here in week 1.
That's right. That's right.
For a night game, probably.
Yes, so what's the latest with that? Josh Allen was not on the Today Show.
I slept until right at 8 o'clock this morning, and the first thought I had when I woke up was, I hope I see a Bills-Bengals or Bills-Ravens night game, because I had thought that Josh Allen was going to be on the Today Show, and I thought I'm going to get to unwrap a present this morning when I wake up. And really, like, the third thing I saw on social media was that he wasn't on. It's like,
no.
Come on!
I mean, thank goodness you didn't tell me that you turned on the Today Show.
Jesus, no.
It's already bad enough.
Sorry, that was a little too real.
It's already bad enough that we're kind of hoping to sort of find out backdoor what's going on the Today Show. It's already bad enough.
Right.
He will be on, reportedly, Wednesday. I wish I'd thought the other day when talking to Sal about this. Sal told us a story about how it was out that he was going to be on the Today Show this morning, but then there was some backpedaling, and maybe he wasn't ever going to be, or maybe he was, but they didn't want it out because it would be assumed that it would be a Bills schedule announcement, NBC. I wish I'd thought on Friday in that conversation to say, well, they would do the opener first.
Right.
And they did. I don't know if it was on the Today Show, but I know it was out this morning that the Eagles, that's an NBC game. I want to say, of course, but not everybody would know this stuff like that. Philadelphia, Dallas.
Sure, it can be confusing. I mean, you could think Thursday is prime, which it is.
That's right.
The other 17 weeks of the season. So, you know, whatever. It's good to clarify.
That's right. So, I wish I'd thought to say that. Did immediately say, yeah, I'm not listening to, we're backpedaling here. I'm taking it. This is important. Like he's going to, I'm crossing off Bears Lions for Sunday night and putting on Bills Baltimore was my thought. Or Cincinnati, I guess. Which is better? Cincinnati worth that game? Could that be?
I think so. Yeah. I could see like them being viewed as last year was just a weird year. And that's it. Like they'll be back. But, you know, Baltimore definitely outranks them right now, and so do the Bills. But I think the Bengals, I would expect the Bengals to be back in that group of teams this year.
It's still, for me, like very small markets for that spot. But it's not going to be Dallas now. And it wasn't probably going to be, I would say. I mean, they weren't good enough last year, but it's often, you know, NFC East. The NFC East gets the Thursday night. Dallas, Philadelphia is the Thursday night. And then, so maybe it will be the Bills on the Sunday night. They say Allen is going to be on NBC on Wednesday, and maybe. I mean, that could be it.
Yeah.
So, fine. What you're wondering right now is, can two reasonably nice young men of fair intelligence fill an entire radio show talking about an NFL schedule today that is yet to be released? And I would say to that, don't ask us. Like, we are older than that. We might not even be that nice, and I don't know about the smarts piece. I'd like to talk. I love the schedule. I'll talk about it 12 months a year. When it's out, when it's not out. In fact, for ADP chasing tomorrow morning, that's a fantasy show, best ball, where everybody wants to know what week 17 is going to be. Like, that's the money week in the big tournament. So who's playing on week 17? Because if we have the Bills playing Atlanta, and you have Josh Allen and Kincaid and Elijah Moore on your team, you're going to want the Falcons, too, because you're going to want that game to blow up. So that's why we want to know who's playing in Week 17. I'm coming up with some fake Week 17 slates for the guys tomorrow. Unless you want me to do this for you. I don't see why you'd care what Week 17 looks
I don't
like.
really have any fantasy interest in the schedule.
No, Week 17 is just another week.
It's just, right.
Just another week.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll be doing, you know, in my downtime, quote, downtime. The rest of it is way too intense for me. But the downtime, that's what I'll be doing. Yeah. And week 17, by the way, is Christmas. And that's what, 3 games? And the latest, listening to Sal talk, the latest lean is that the Bills won't be playing on Christmas. I don't think he knows for sure, but he might. But the sense I'm getting listening to him is that now the Bills are off Christmas, but there's a Saturday night game, the 27th.
Okay.
There might even be a Saturday afternoon game also, that Saturday block that happens every year. The Christmas is the 25th again this year. They haven't changed it.
They've kept that.
Why can't Christmas always be on a Saturday night, right? But no, it's on the 25th again.
You want everything on Saturday nights.
I do.
By everything, I mean Halloween and now, I guess, Christmas.
Or a Monday.
That's everything.
Or a Monday, because that's the best day of the week to have off. That's one reason why Memorial Day is so great. Labor Day, because you can plan for it. It's always on a Monday. If Christmas is on a Thursday or a Wednesday like last year, do you work the next day? The day before and the next day? That's not as good. You want that block. Anyway, so as I speak for everyone, I'm sure on that. So maybe the Bills get the Saturday night.
Which they had 2 years ago?
When was the Miami game? 3?
No, the Chargers was a...
Oh, the Chargers.
That was a Saturday night,
that's
holiday
right.
time, Peacock joint, and that's what this is going to be,
Exactly.
Right?
Yes, this would be Peacock. I guess maybe we want the Bills on that game because then we don't have to get Peacock.
Right, in order to watch. Correct. Yeah.
It'll be on locally.
Yeah. I managed to find my way last season. I think I went out to watch the Peacock exclusive game last year.
And I still have it. Right. I subscribed, and I have not yet unsubscribed. SNL locked me in there. So maybe that happens.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I don't need the Bills to be on Christmas, but... With no, I don't talk to Mike North, and so I don't have any clues to try to decipher or anything or between the lines to read. But thinking about the Bills and their stature, and that they've been on Thanksgiving in all 3 windows since really their emergence. 2019 was a little ahead of that, but still, Josh Allen became a star before our eyes, and they have played in all 3 windows on Thanksgiving since that happened. And I felt like, maybe Thanksgiving, Christmas. They're having 3 games. The Chiefs were on last year. I'll bet the Bills get Christmas. So I've been sort of mentally preparing for them to be on Christmas. It's not like it takes a lot, and was kind of looking forward to. I've settled on they're going to be there. What window do I want? And now to think that they might not be there at all, I wonder what, if they get some sort of holiday treatment, this thing Saturday night would qualify as some piece of that. I mean, that is a standalone primetime window if you're on Saturday night. But now I wonder about Thanksgiving and or even Black Friday. Right? There's only 1 game still on Black Friday. Is that right? They haven't found a way to make that into a double or triple header.
I don't really know.
So I wonder if that, maybe they're a candidate for that.
Do I have to know how many games are on Black Friday?
I think it's just the
quote
one.
Black Friday. I don't know. I like this thing though about those AFC North teams being on the road weeks 1 and 3, except for the Browns. I guess their stadium isn't close enough to the Guardians.
It is sort of on the other side of town, whereas the other 3, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, are all very much in the same neighborhood. Yeah.
That's right. You couldn't... Anyway, all right. How did the league do with Dallas in that opener? I was on Washington. You like the Rams, I think.
I did. I mentioned Dallas when you were running through teams just to sort of remind you, like, hey, Dallas. But I didn't think that they would outrank those other teams. But, they are Dallas. So there's always interest. And even if it's just watching them get clobbered, people will enjoy that. Well, so, I mean, they definitely rate, no matter how good they are. And they're not terrible. They're not terrible. They almost should be maybe Washington is there now. I almost said out of habit they should be the second best team in that division, but Washington has obviously taken that from them. But I still think they'll be competitive. You know, it really hinges on whether Prescott can stay healthy. Because offensively, they've got pieces, and provided Parsons and they've got better health. You know, they had a lot of injuries on defense last year. You know, wasn't the Diggs' brother was hurt. Mm-hmm. So that, you know, I think Dallas should be a playoff type team.
Plus 200 to make it. 7 teams make it. Plus 200 to make it. Go for it. Go get that. I think it's fine. You can get me into Dallas at Philadelphia anytime you want.
Yeah.
You know, all these years, either stadium, you know, the jerseys are usually the same. Mm-hmm. Philly and green, Dallas and white, no matter what. You can get me into that game anytime you want. So, save Washington. I like it when this opening night is not such a banger. Like, Baltimore, Kansas City was this game last year. And, I mean, that was a must-watch. But I'll watch that game in Week 10. Baltimore and Kansas City, put that on anytime. Like, that's a beauty. Dallas and Philadelphia, I don't need Philadelphia playing Washington the first week.
Right.
I mean, isn't Kansas City on their schedule too? Aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I think even a home game. I think they could have.
Yeah, it could have been.
They could have done
City.
this if they wanted to have a Super Bowl rematch.
I like this more. We'll save that one. As far as the Bills go, I mean, Sunday night's a great compliment if they get it. You can decide either way whether you think Allen being on the Today Show Wednesday is some sign of that, because that's a guess for me. Maybe it is.
It is a guess. But I would guess the same. I mean, it's possible they just have him on to talk about what his off season, the schedule,
brownies,
his marriage. Like I don't know, but it seems like the kind of thing you would have a guy like that on to say, "Hey, hey, Josh, here we found out your first game. Here it is, everybody." But I don't know that has to happen, because NBC already did that today with this opener, with this Thursday opener with Dallas and Philly. So I would expect there to be something. I think it would be a little odd if there wasn't some announcement about the schedule. So I'm hopeful for that. We shouldn't be done today.
It could be the Peacock game though.
That's right. Because that is an NBC platform, and so if that is, I'm
going to go with that.
That could be right.
Because I still don't love the Bills on the Week 1 Sunday night. I still don't love it. I mean, there's lots of good candidates. It doesn't have to be them. Like, they've been great for a long time. They're very marketable.
But the Chiefs are already spoken for, right?
Right.
They've got the Friday night game in Brazil, right? Reportedly with the Chargers.
Yes.
So, you know, if you're looking at the league hierarchy, right? The Cowboys are always popular. They're always they're always eyeballs. But you've got the Super Bowl champs. You've got the runner-up on Friday night. I think the Bills are, there's a group of teams there, but, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bills did make it as far as anyone else besides Washington. So I could see that, but it doesn't have to be. And this Peacock thing is a very, like you just said, you wish you had thought of on Friday when we were talking about the opener. I'm having the same thing about, you brought up Peacock 10 minutes ago, and like, duh, Josh Allen could be on the Today Show on Wednesday because of Peacock.
Yes. And Hallmark, if they're affiliated, or NBC and Hallmark affiliated. This is the stuff you need to know.
That's a question.
There are people, and I respect them madly, who listen to us deep dive on the draft like every day almost for months and think like, this is ridiculous. Who are all these guys? What are we doing? Mock drafts? Then we're grading the mock drafts, and then we're like all the drivel there can be when it comes to the draft. But, we as an organization have decided to just like embrace it, eat it up,
right? Yeah.
Lean into it. Is the schedule like that but worse? Or is it better, even maybe? Which is like harder to listen to people try to guess at futilely, the draft or the schedule? I don't know. That's a question for you.
They are thematically very close, I think, because you do get, I think, the same sort of pushback, which is, I don't get it. I'm going to find out when it comes up, when it shows up on my phone. And you can say that about the draft, too. I mean, you just sit back and just not concern yourself at all with whether the Bills are going to pick an edge guy or a D tackle or a receiver or a corner and just wait until, midnight on Thursday and you're going to find out. Same thing with the schedule, obviously, but I've grown to really like putting the puzzle together. And so, if this ain't your thing, I respect you. I appreciate you. If I didn't have this job, it's possible I would be a person who would just be sitting back going, yeah, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, I'm fine.
I think,
but
I think
here.
It's one thing to be, as a fan, like as a hardcore fan, to want things from the schedule. You want this team here. I know the show prior to ours, when I got here, people were calling, ringing off the hook with, I want to see Carolina in week 6. It was just, there are fans, we somehow do not appeal to those people, but there are fans who, love it like that. They have specific hopes and fears, if you will, from the draft. And you talk about, if you had a different job, like a sort of a real job, that would be me. I might still like the puzzle. I did before I worked here. I was into this stuff forever. But you didn't have the internet, kind of made it tough to know what was going to happen. I would be like that, but I would, again, not exactly me, but that person who loves the Bills and wants to know, are they playing on Christmas, et cetera, et cetera. That's one thing. That's great. The same person would not necessarily be trying to figure out, let me see. If Pittsburgh is playing in Ireland in week 4, that means I cannot be playing Pittsburgh in week 4. Therefore, that I crossed that off, and that means there's that much better chance I'm playing the Saints. All right, that's the Star Trek convention. Right? I mean, the puzzle, the grid, the nerding site, me.
Very good use of the Star Trek convention.
That's the Star Trek convention. We don't really need to know what the odds are of all these games. Yeah. That's not really that. Maybe that doesn't really have the mass appeal that we would want. Because, again, how it's similar is the mock draft, who the Bills are going to take at 30, and over the course of a month you hear 20 different names. Well, how do you even know if the guy's going to be there? Right? And a lot of the guys we talked about a lot, Kenneth Grant went 12th.
Right.
We might have talked about him more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And he went 12th. So was that time well spent?
Probably not.
I don't know. Work-wise, I want to say yes. Real life-wise, I don't think that was necessarily time well spent. There is a line for the opener, Cowboys-Eagles, and it's Philadelphia. Want it? Want to guess? This is your specialty.
Philadelphia minus 3.5.
7.
Whoa. That almost sounds like a game they shouldn't have scheduled.
7 is too high?
For the opener.
What was Detroit, Kansas City, though?
Good point. Probably that bigger. Wow.
Yeah, that's a point we make about that game. These opening week games is you want it to be competitive. We talked to Sam on Friday, and I asked him, is there a bad team you sort of feel like will be good? He said, does Dallas count? Which, good question. They were 7-10, but they lost Prescott for half the season. Everybody got hurt on, right. Parsons. Everybody got hurt. Yep. So plus 200 to make the playoffs is a pretty good price, I think, for Dallas. 7 and 46.5.
Wow, you usually, are very complimentary at my prowess at guessing these.
I was just now.
I'm going to have to get on track because that was a terrible job. I missed by more than half. Exactly half.
I think you should blame yourself on that one. You have a Super Bowl winner, that crushed, like the Bears, 85 Bears-esque kind of romp, same stadium, in the Super Bowl, and how did they do it? Well, they had the best roster, is what everybody said after that. So probably that's a team that most think will dominate again. I mean, some guys won't be back, but their stars are all back. Yeah. And some of them are really young. Hurts is 26.
My first instinct was 5, and then I thought that's too big, and then I went down to 3.5. And I should have gone up. I went the wrong way.
Play it a little safe for the opener when you don't know who everybody is yet.
Right.
Well, I mean, you should bet that right now then.
I guess so.
Bet Dallas.
Those are the rules.
Hurts is 26.